Hi, it's Donna Joy Ashton. I want to talk to you about something that I used to be a little bit hesitant about doing. I used to think that it was really, really difficult and tricky, and now I realize it's not, okay? And that is writing copy. Now, before you leave, before you go boring and depart this video stage left, just remember that everything that you do within your business is writing copy, whether it doesn't have to be a sales page or it doesn't have to be an ad, just writing email, writing a social media post, it's all writing copy and it all relates to each other. So hang around and watch it because I'm going to give you my top 10 copywriting secrets. Now, as I said, I used to think it was really difficult. I used to think there was something out there as if there was like some sort of magical words that good copywriters were using that I didn't know about, and it wasn't until, I'd written 10 fiction books, so you think by then I would know all the words that were around. And then one day I realized that it wasn't so much the words that they were using, these good copywriters were using, but how they were using them was important. Now I see writing good copy as like creating a road for my prospective clients or for my clients. So I'm taking them on a journey and I'm creating this road and I want it to be as smooth as possible. I want the ride to be enjoyable. I want it to be interesting and engaging and smooth to get them to the destination that I want them at, which is at the very end where I might make them an offer. So this is what we want our copy to be. We want our copy to be the road that takes them to the destination we want to take them to. And we want them to hang around for the whole ride. So we need to keep them engaged. We need to keep them interested. And we don't want to jolt them out of the journey. So I want to go through how to do that now. So copywriting secret number 1. Really good copywriters spend 90% of their time researching and 10% writing. They take the time to research the product, right? So if a copywriter is employed to write ad copy for an actual product, even like an e-commerce product, they spend their time analyzing this product and working out what it is about this product that's going to make it different, going to make it unique to all the same products that are offering the same solution out there. So first of all, they are looking at their product from different angles and they're trying to find the one thing about that product that they can use as like a hook, right, when they're going to talk about it. But the other thing that they really look into is the target audience that they're going to be putting their ad in front to. Like, who is this person that they want to market this product to? Whether or not it's e-commerce or whether it's like you as a coach with you being the product and your coaching being the solution to the person's problem. Right, so you need to know your product intimately, but you need to know the person who wants your product even more. So what is their pains? What are their frustrations? What is it that would make them want to seek help from you? What are their goals? What are their dreams? What is it they want to achieve? And often it helps to work from there and work backwards. So what's their end result? What do they want? And then work backwards to what's stopping them from getting there, back to what's their problem, and what is the pain and frustration that's surrounding this. And all of this emotional journey along the way, the gap between where they are now and where they want to be, this is what you're going to bridge with your product. And this is what you're going to do with copy. You're going to bridge the gap, show them how you're going to get from where they are now to where they want to be using your product as a solution. So you need to be able to call them out. We just want to rush it out there and get it done, but don't forget that when you write something like really good copy, like a sales page or something that you're creating, that page is out there. It's an asset that you've created, whether it be an ad that you get to work really well. It's an asset out there working for you. It's not just a one-off thing that's gone. So it's worth taking time to get it right. Plus, the research you do now on this stuff, you're going to be able to use it forever. Okay, because once you take the time to really research your avatar, their pain, the frustration, plus getting the angle on your product, it's going to make it unique, the unique solution that they should be taking. Once you've done that, then you can keep using it. And sometimes you might need to try a few different angles on your product, your solution, before you get the right handle that's going to make them want to buy. And that's all a part of split testing and testing your copy and seeing what works. So take the time to get to know your avatar, take the time to look at your product and see what it is about that would make them want to buy, what makes it unique to everybody else's solution. And then that is information, it's an asset base, a library that you're going to use for all your copy from then on. Okay, copywriting secret number 2. Did you know that from a marketing point of view, there are 5 different stages of awareness? So you have different stages of awareness all the way from the very bottom where people are actually unaware that they even have a problem. Okay, they have the problem, they're just not even aware that they've got it, right? Which is always amusing. Right up to the point where it's like a pyramid, right? So at the bottom, it's the base, the foundation of these people who are totally wandering around, totally unaware that they have this problem. right up to the pointy part of that triangle where these people are totally aware that they have the problem. They know the solution and they're aware of you as your solution. Okay, so can you imagine these two different people? One's wandering around, doesn't even know what the problem is. The other one is totally aware of it, has been looking for solutions and is now watching you as the potential answer to their problem. Can you see that how you would speak to these two different people is going to be totally different? So the way you would speak to the top person to get them to commit, to topple off the fence and to commit, it may just be to offer them a discount. The person at the bottom, you got to start by educating them from the ground up. And that's what the aim of marketing and copy is. It's to educate people. No matter where they are in these stages of awareness, whether or not they're problem unaware, they're problem aware, they're solution aware, they're like your solution aware, or they're you aware, these are the 5 stages, right? Your goal through your copy is to walk them up through these stages of awareness to get them to the top when they buy. So you can see that your funnel basically is so broad. One of the reasons we bring leads in that we can then engage with email and stuff is because we're walking them up through the funnel. You're not always going to get people all the way up through those stages of awareness the first time they come across you. Some people will. Some people will jump the 1%ers, but other people need to be educated and they need to be reassured and need to be moved up slowly until they finally get to the point where their pain becomes so great and they're trusting in you enough that they can commit. So when you're writing a piece of copy, whether it be like if you're writing a sales letter that's going to go out to people who are on your email, you would probably write it differently than if you're writing a sales letter you're going to drive a Facebook ad to, where you need to educate the people a little bit more before you take them to the end result. So you need to be aware you are. Now, if you have ever seen those infomercials that go forever, that's because they're coming in at the very bottom. They're coming at the unaware. Like these people don't even have the problem. So one of the ones that's going around at the moment is the circulation. Like you're sitting there and then, oh my God, all of a sudden you realize that you've got a circulation problem. Oh, what are you going to do about it? And they show you solutions and then they show you their solution. And then they have someone on that's telling you about how it's changed their life. Okay, so that's how these informations work. Now, you would never go for that bottom group of people that are problem unaware unless you had tapped out every single person, like every other market out there. And we probably not going to get to that stage in our careers. We have tapped out everything. We have to go for the unaware and educate them about that. You see network marketers when they're going around, they're trying to explain to people that they have a problem because they don't have residual income coming in, right? So they're always starting at the bottom. They're always starting at the bottom by trying to get into conversations with people and trying to educate them about how they have a problem in their life. Like if they lost their job, when they do, they need just residual income. They're starting from the bottom up, which is why it's quite tough for them. But we don't want to go for that bottom market unless we really, really have to. So we want to start further up with a problem aware or maybe even solution aware and then go from there. But be aware of it is going to change the way you write your copy, and think about that when you're starting. You'll find that it'll be interesting because you'll start to think of your copy in different ways. Now, copywriting secret number 3 is there are formulas to writing good copy. So you've probably heard of the formula hook, story, offer, where you hook someone, you give them a story and you make them an offer. Well, that's kind of the first formula that I ever learned years and years ago when I first started studying copy was AIDA. Attention, interest, desire, action. And hook, story, offer and AIDA are the same. Okay, so AIDA, attention, that's the hook. You're going to get their attention. You're going to give them a hook that's going to like make them go, oh, hang on. It's like you're calling them out, right? Then you've got the interest and the desire, which is you can use story for. Now, you don't always have to use story, but with the hook, story, offer, obviously you're using story. And the reason that story is really good is it's engaging, it's interesting. And the very interesting thing about story is that when you tell someone a story, even if it's your own story or it's a story about one of your clients, they, in their brain, twist it to become a story about themselves. They start to relate and they start to see it. And it's so interesting because we're always making things mean something about ourselves. And that's why story is so powerful. It's not because they're watching your story, it's because they're engaging with your story. That's why when you have a movie, some people will cry and some people don't. It's because some people are really experiencing that movie because they are already feeling that emotion. Okay? And it's evoking those emotions within them because they've already been there. They've already had that sadness in their life. And it's making them even sadder. So story, even though we tell it ourselves, it makes them see the story about them. So through story, we're able to evoke their interest and then their desire, so that then we can take the action in AIDA, which is the offer. Put the offer in front of them. So we've taken them through, we've like talked about their pains, their frustrations, we've given them the story, and at the end we're going to make them an offer. Now, when you're doing social media posting and things like that, you don't always having to be make an offer. Okay, there is just giving value and building rapport, and there's like that jab hook. All right. When you're writing a sales page, obviously there always has to be an offer at the end. With emails, you can always put an offer at the end, even if it's just a little PS asking them to do something. It doesn't have to be buy my stuff. It might just be, comment or follow me on Facebook or join my Facebook group or things like that. You can be asking for micro commitments. It doesn't always have to be about money. It doesn't always have to be about making the sale. But if they like you and they're on an email list, or if they're going through something when they get to the end, it's a good thing to be able to put an offer out there, even if it's just a small call to action, so that you can get them to start to take those micro steps towards you and towards ultimately becoming a client. Okay, so copywriting secret number 4. Your job while using these formulas, so by using AIDA and using hook, story, offer, is to create that smooth road for them. So how do you do this? Well, you don't want to jolt them out of the story. So imagine they're on this road and they're in this smooth, beautiful car. It's gliding along and they're enjoying the experience, and it's the right amount of air's going over their skin and through the hair, and they're perfectly comfortable. They're going to stay in that car until they get to the end. Now imagine you've thrown them on the back of a cart and it's like all bumpy and you're going along like a rough road and it's like stones everywhere and they're uncomfortable. They're going to get out. They're going to leave. So how do we create this smooth road for them? Well, number 1, don't use big fancy words. Use small words. Use easy to understand words. We're not trying to stun them with our grasp of the English language. We're just trying to get them to really understand what we're trying to tell them, and to be able to tap into their pains and frustrations, and to make them start to relate with our copy. So don't use big fancy words, okay? And in fact, I've heard them saying that politicians aim to be using words that like somebody in grade 3 or grade 5 could understand, because they want everybody that they're talking to, and they're talking to, be able to understand what they're saying so they can vote for them. So the second thing you want to do is you want to make it hard to read. So you don't want to have these big, dense, blocky paragraphs that the eye gets lost in, because if you make them uncomfortable, they're just going to leave, all right? So use a lot of white space. Use a lot of parentheses, the dot, and the next line and the next line. You want to drag them through the copy, have their eyes tracking, have them moving, have that brain registering that they're quickly moving through the copy. Make it a pleasant experience for them. Keep them amused and entertained so you can get them to the end, which is when you get to make them their offer. Copywriting secret number 5, less is more. Okay, so when you're writing copy, you want to be using the minimum amount of words to get the maximum impact. So you're not going to concentrate the words. If you use more words, you dilute the impact of what you're saying. So you want to go through your copy and just keep pulling out any unnecessary words, any unnecessary sentences, and believe me, any unnecessary paragraphs. Sometimes when we're trying to make a fact, we belabor that fact and we go on and on and on about it. And then in fact, we lose their attention because they're like, yeah, I know, I get it, all right, you got me. And then they get bored and they leave. So it's like delivering one big blow, one big punch for impact. And that is going to be far more powerful than like lots of little punches, okay? And then like when you belabor it, your punches just get weaker and weaker and weaker because they're not interested anymore. So just remember, less is more. Try and cut out any unnecessary words, any unnecessary paragraphs, any unnecessary sentences. Now, when I'm writing my fiction book, sometimes I would be trying to make a point, and when I was editing, I would find that the last paragraph was I could always remove it. And that when I did that, the whole thing became so much stronger, so much more powerful, because I wasn't diluting my copy or my writing anymore. Okay, copywriting secret number 6. The goal of the headline is to get them to read the subheadline. The goal of the subheadline is to get them to read the next line, which is normally the first line of your copy. The goal of the first line of your copy is to get them to read the next line. So you see what's happening here. The goal of each line of your copy is to get them to read the next one and read the next one and read the next one. That's where white space comes in. That's where parentheses come in when you're dragging their eye from line to line. You want to keep them engaged. You want to get them moving through that copy. So all of the stuff I've talked about before helps with this, okay? Keeping them engaged, telling them stories so it's interesting, not using big words that's going to jolt them out. One thing I find is when I'm reading a book, and I'm not saying you're going to do this with your copy, but I'll be reading a book and then all of a sudden I'll throw a French phrase in there. I don't speak French. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I've come up for air, and I realize what time it is, and I close the book and I walk off. And that's because they jolted me out of the story, okay? So you want to create this smooth road, but then you want to remember that the goal of each line is to drag them to the next line all the way down, so they almost can't stop reading till they get to the bottom. You make your offer and then they commit and buy. All right, copywriting secret number 7, overcome objections as you go. Otherwise, when you get to the end, the logical brain's going to have all these objections. If you haven't overcome them, then they're going to just go away to think about it, and then you'll never see them again. So you want to be thinking about, what are these people's objections to working with you or to buying your product or whatever it is, your course or whatever it is. What objections will they have? And then overcome them during the copy. So ways to do this is through your story. So you could be telling a story and you could be showing how somebody had the same problem as them, and then they overcame the triumph. So their objection might have been, this wouldn't work for me. But when you've shown them that it worked for someone else, then there's no objection there, okay? You can use a Q&A section, so questions and answers. So you can put all of the things that you think will be their objections down there with the answers, and then they've read it and they've got all the information that they need to be able to make a buying decision. You can put reviews from happy clients in, so they can see that other people that are working with you. Okay, so these are all things that we want to do. We want to identify and remove any objections that they might have that's going to stop them from being able to buy at the end. This is about the logical brain, okay? The logical brain will always try and save them. It will always try and stop them from doing things to keep them safe. We want to appease the logical brain to allow them to make a buying decision. Okay, copywriting secret number 8, future pace them. So whereas overcoming objections was for the logical brain, future pacing them is for the emotional brain. So what do I mean by future pacing? So that's where we take them to the future in their mind's eye. We show them the future where they have overcome whatever their problem is, and they now have that dream that they want. You know, that goals, they've managed to get their goals, and then we show them how amazing it's going to be, and we get them to feel the feelings of being there, desire it, want it so badly that we're going to allow them to take the action that they need to go on to do this. So good copy is actually about setting these people free so they can finally make the decision that they need to overcome these problems that they have and have the solution that they want, okay? To be able to have the life that they want. So good copy is not about tricking somebody. Good copy is about allowing them to finally go on to do what they need to. So future pacing them helps this. When we put someone into the future and we show them how amazing that is going to be, and then they want it enough that they want it more than their fear of failing, all right? Because that's what really happens here. People have this fear of failing, this limiting self-belief that it won't work for them, this limiting self-belief that it isn't going to, that they're not going to be able to do it. And I see this all the time when I work as a sales coach, when I get to the end, and it's so interesting because we've gone through all these goals. We've gone through what they want and what the obstacles that are stopping them. And then when I show them that they can get there, but then they still don't commit. And they always use money, right? But if they knew that if they believed in themselves enough to know that they were going to have the goals that they want because they're going to do the work that they need and they can get there, then money is not the issue. It always comes back to lack of self-belief. So when we future pace them, we engage that emotional brain and we allow it to overpower that fear of that they're not good enough, that they're not going to make it, that all this stuff, these limiting self-beliefs that they have within themselves. So remember to always future pace them at some point during your copy so that you can start to engage that emotional brain. Now, copywriting secret number 9, build rapport. So you want to start to develop that know, like, and trust with people. So how do we do this? Well, your story is going to help with that, right? Telling them your own story, making them see that you're just like them, or you were just like them when you had the problem, and now you're not because now you've got the solution, right? So story is going to help build that rapport with them. Even though they're making it mean something about them on one level, on the other level, they're starting to connect with you and seeing you as kind of like a kindred spirit in a way almost. Use humor if appropriate. Okay, maybe for whatever you're doing, maybe it's not appropriate to use humor, but if you can inject a little bit of light humor in there and make them smile, if you can make them laugh, then they're one step closer to liking you, if not liking you straight away. We like people who make us laugh. We like people who make us feel good. Okay, so if you can inject a bit of humor in there, if it's appropriate, go for it. Video is a great way to develop that rapport, that know, like, and trust. Now, if the thought of video freaks you out, just know one thing: it freaks all of us out at the beginning, okay? That's okay. It's totally normal to feel that way. And what I suggest you do is either practice recording video, okay, not doing it live, but recording it first. Or if you really like, no, damn it, I want to do a live, set up a Facebook page where no one's on it, you're not getting any engagement, and then go on and practice doing Facebook Lives on that page where you're pretty sure that no one's going to see it, all right? Because the first time that someone pops on when you're doing something, it's probably going to throw you, all right? The other thing you can do is, if you do want to do it on your own page, cover up the area initially when you can see people coming and going, because when they come on, you get totally distracted and you get a bit stage fright, and then when they leave, you get really depressed because you obviously weren't interesting enough, all right? So video is a great way to build rapport with people. Now, copywriting secret number 10, I've already started to touch on this, is that in our copy, we need to engage both the logical and the emotional brain. Some people make purely logical decisions when buying. Some people are just totally emotional. The majority of people use both. Most people will buy emotionally and justify logically. So we need to be there to do both. So you engage the emotional brain through story, through talking about emotions, and through future pacing them, okay? You engage the logical brain through facts, question and answers, other people's reviews, things like that, where you're giving the logical brain actual facts and things that it needs to be able to make a decision. The emotional brain is quick to make a decision. It wants it, and it wants it now. The emotional brain, it's like, yep, I want it, and it's always looking for reasons to buy, okay? The logical brain drags its feet. It's looking for reasons not to buy. It's looking for excuses. And then even when you have overcome its objections, sometimes the logical brain needs to go away and think about it, okay? So you need to engage both. So I like to think about them as almost like being two different people working together to make a buying decision, right? So the emotional brain is like the really, very enthusiastic, very good looking teenage girl. Maybe she's a cheerleader and she's like, yeah, rah, rah, let's do this, woohoo. She believes totally in herself, all right? She believes that it can get done. Meanwhile, her best friend is along for the ride and she's a bit overweight, got pretty bad acne, and she has trouble believing that good things can actually happen to her. So whereas her friend, the good-looking cheerleader, is like, yeah, let's do this, come on, let's go. Her friend, the logical part of the equation, is like, oh, looking for reasons not to do it, not to commit, okay? So you need to look for ways to get both of those parts of the brain on board so that you have a better chance of converting these people into clients. Okay, so that is my 10 top copywriting secrets. I hope that you've got something out of that. And I hope that next time you sit down to write copy, you won't think of it as being this big, magical, mystical thing like I used to. And you realize that it's actually quite simple. Engage their emotions. Give them lots of white space. Tell them a story. Remember to hook them from the beginning. Carry them through to the very end. Make your offer. And just remember that when you write this copy, you're creating assets that are going to work for you for a very, very long time. So it's worth taking the time and the effort to do it right. Okay, I will catch you